with some mine shafts possibly being over 4,000 years old. This is believed to be the largest Bronze Age mine network in the world, and would have made its owners richer than anyone could possibly imagine.
And they call it a mine. A mine!
Situated on a rocky headland in Llandudno, northern Wales, people of the Bronze Age would have erected settlements nearby the mines to keep the workers and the precious findings safe and secure. In the Mines Museum, you can see some reconstructed tools that the workers would have used, including both bronze and bone pickaxes. The workers were searching for malachite, which is a green mineral consisting of hydrated basic copper carbonate, one of the two ingredients used to make bronze, a highly versatile and extremely valuable metal that reigned supreme in Britain from as early as 2500 BC until 800 BC. This sword blade is labelled as a rapier point, although personally I beg to differ. Rapiers were known for having particularly thinner blades than standard swords, and were made out of steel, commonly used in the later end of the medieval period and into the Renaissance. Bronze would have been far too soft and flexible to be used as a functional rapier blade. You may be tempted to call this a short sword, however this length of blade was pretty standard for its time, so would have been simply known as a sword. Blades tended to become longer as metal became stronger. This is a Celtic spartha, a good example for what a stronger metal could achieve. Despite this, some iron and steel swords still remain shorter than others, depending on their specific purpose, the Roman gladius being a perfect example, used primarily for stabbing between the ribs at very close range, therefore a long blade would not have been necessary. As you can see, rather a lot of human remains were found at this site. A considerable number of the remains that were found were that of children, some as young as 8 years old. It should be taken into consideration, however, that the average life expectancy was much lower in the Bronze Age compared to modern times, so children were often used to help out with what work needed to be done at a much earlier age than nowadays, so child labour was much more widely accepted and seen as a normality. Children would often be sent down the mine shafts that were simply too small and narrow for the adults to fit inside. We now enter the mine, and almost immediately you can see the effects that thousands of years of trickling water has done to the rock faces within the caves. Uncovered in 1987 during a scheme to re-landscape an area of the Great Orme headland, these great mine shafts were discovered, and represent one of the most astounding archaeological discoveries in recent times. The excavation of this site helped us to reimagine the structure of civilization and society during the Bronze Age, rewriting the books on what we thought we knew about the capabilities of human beings 4,000 years ago in Britain. So why exactly did the discovery of these mine shafts make us rethink how Bronze Age society in Britain functioned? Because to make bronze you need copper and tin. The closest tin mines that we know of are in Cornwall, which is over 300 miles away by foot. To make bronze, these people would have had to establish trade connections with people from Cornwall. We already knew that the Phoenicians from the Mediterranean had traded tin with the ancient people of Cornwall, but the Phoenicians were well-known long-distance traders who sailed far and wide to trade goods with the known world. By comparison, very little is known about Britain throughout the Bronze Age, so mines like that of the Great Orme provide vital insight into the world that they would have known some 4,000 years ago. This simulated candle shows the amount of light per candle that the miners would have had to be working with. Large fires could not be used as the smoke would be too harmful, so candles were the only option. Smokeless torches, unfortunately, would be a thing of Hollywood fiction and were not actually used historically. However, indoor torches were used in more ventilated places throughout the historical period, although they were not common since they would rarely burn for more than an hour before requiring to be replaced. Every now and then, the mines open up to reveal large cavities, where you can see multiple tunnels heading off into all different directions. So far, over 5 miles of tunnels have been discovered. However, it is estimated that less than half of the original prehistoric tunnels have been discovered. If you are a bit of an arachnophobe, have no fear. This was the only spiderweb I saw in the entire time I was inside the mines. Here is the Vivian Shaft. It is the deepest known mine shaft at the Great Orme, and stretches down to around 230 foot below ground level. Experimental archaeologists have attempted to recreate the method of fire setting, where you light fires around a particularly hard section of rock. The fire would eventually cause the rock to crack, making it easier to break apart with hand tools. It was the charcoal from these areas within the mines that were used to carbon date the mines to at least 3,300 years old. Some more experimental archaeology here, showing the tools used in smelting copper. Feel free to pause the video and read this information board. These are stones that were picked specifically for smashing up rocks containing the copper ore, mostly taken from the local beach. A finer tool such as a bronze chisel would then be used to prospect the finer fragments of rock. Now I will show you a sped up version of myself walking through the entirety of the mines which are currently open to the public. The route took me almost 5 minutes to complete at a brisk walking pace. It is estimated that enough copper for almost 2,000 tons of bronze was produced here. When you bear in mind that simply owning one bronze sword weighing 1 kilogram would have made you the talk of the town during Bronze Age Britain, you can begin to understand the sheer wealth that this mine network would have provided. There have been other copper mines discovered around Britain that would have been functioning during this time, including Aldley Edge, Ecton, and Paris Mount. But none of that we know of would have compared to the Great Orme, which is suspected to have functioned from 1884 BC all the way to 933 BC, judging by carbon dating firewood found within the mines. There is also evidence to suggest that the Romans reopened the mines briefly during their invasion of Britain. One possible explanation for the Orme's notable success was that the rock which concealed the copper ore was predominantly dolomite, which is a relatively soft rock, so mining it would have been much easier than in the competing mines at the time, which had considerably higher volumes of harder rock. Regardless, it has proved to be one of Britain's greatest historical finds, and is continued to be excavated to this very day. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, And also check out my Instagram page, which is all historically themed, with medieval castles, abbeys, historical buildings throughout history, and of course arms and armour.